Welcome to Monday, November the 23rd's vlog. I hope you've all had a great weekend. Onasiri and I had a pleasant one. We had several interesting conversations over the weekend. The family from abroad and some of their Facebook chums. Which brings me to make this statement. Radicals invariably accuse their opponents of the very things for which they are most guilty. We subscribe to Epoch Times, and Epoch Times is a media outlet originally started by the Falun Gong that has boots on the ground in China and is reporting accurately on the threat that the CCP and the CCP virus poses to humanity, both health-wise and economically. And it also reveals the horrendous persecution that Uyghurs are under, that the house churches are under, that anyone is under that dares to oppose the Communist Party in China. So I had posted a photo of the Epoch Times, which had arrived on Friday, and my brother-in-law shared that. And some socialists in Norway went absolutely ballistic. The need for utter socialist consensus causes them to silence, bully, cajole, and manipulate all conversations that don't agree with that consensus. And of course, they accuse the Epoch Times of particular bias, which we could easily refute, and we did so by pointing this out. This is from Blind Bias Survey. I'll post the link to that survey in the vlog, but let me read it. August 2020, Blind Bias Survey. On average, people from across the political spectrum rated the bias of the Epoch Times as between center and lean right in our August 2020 Blind Bias Survey. Pluralities across all groups of survey respondents, conservatives, centrists, and liberals alike, rated the Epoch Times as center. On average, people who self-reported a center or lean right bias rated the Epoch Times as center, while people who rated their own bias as lean left, or right on average found it just between lean right and center. The discrepancy of the rating from survey results, center, lean, right, and AllSides media bias rating of the Epoch Times at the time prompted the team to conduct a full editorial review, which ultimately resulted in us moving the Epoch Times from right to a lean right bias rating in August 2020. So they were accusing, of course, the people in Norway of the Epoch Times being unfactual and a raving extreme right-wing biased media outlet. There's a reason that they do this. And that's the reason that we're going to delve into this morning. And it ain't pretty. Mankind cannot be godless. And that as social creatures, we will invariably personify higher orders, ideas of both good and evil. In the case of postmodern man's rejection of God, he needed to become his own God, which out of necessity meant that he had to become the Übermensch that Nietzsche spoke about. Since this is a sociological, psychological, and spiritual impossibility, the outcome of rejecting the grand narrative is a dystopian, violent, vile, and ugly, hellishly murderous nightmare. All you have to do is look at modern films, modern music, modern buildings, and modern art to realize how true my statement is. Postmodern man worships ugliness because his ideology does not allow him to create anything lasting and beautiful, which is why all socialist regimes have ultimately collapsed of their own accord. The more government proliferates, the more it creates arcane, Byzantine, and contradictory rules that few can understand, which are impossible to follow. Yet many insist that more government is the answer to every crisis which governments alone have created. It is impossible for mankind to be atheistic. The proof of such is that those who deny God invariably make the state their God. And just like the Christianity they abhor, they seek to make their God omnipotent, all-knowing, and all-good, while offering sacrifices to it, even their own children, and particularly the unborn. Which is why the only government the radical left despises is a constitutionally limited government which ensures the sovereignty of each citizen. Because of this, society faces a Nietzschean existential nightmare. Rejecting the grand narrative and Enlightenment values can only result in two possible outcomes. The first is nihilistic despair, while the second is for mankind to reinvent its value structures in an attempt to create the Übermensch I spoke to you previously about. This is where we're at. Man has chosen to become his own God, which has resulted in a belief system which ignores human nature itself. This literally rejects the essence of our humanity by subordinating our individuality to the socialist collective. Remember, I saw this up close and personal years ago when I lived in Scandinavia. It is soul-eating and terrifying, while reducing all human struggle to pure materialism. That's why socialists view everything as a struggle of materialism, of equality of distribution. And now our government is fully on board with Build Back Better. We're little gray men, bureaucrats and technocrats, subjugate humanity in a bizarre, aberrant framework of tyranny to enslave human reason in order to fulfill their dystopian nightmare. We must step out of our indentureship to recover our humanity and our dignity. The cavalry isn't coming to rescue us. President Trump isn't going to do this on your behalf. Especially you silly Canadians whose magical thinking deludes you into believing an American businessman come politician will save you. It is time to emerge from the shadows to reclaim our personal responsibility and accountability. I know these aren't easy words, but you'd best think about them, because nobody's going to do that but you and me. I'm willing to die on this hill, even if I have to die alone. But it is unlikely that the war will be won unless we choose voluntarily to do this concertedly. Have a great day.